Hello Redditors, welcome back to Tales Against Humanity. Now, let's get started. In today's episode, I'd like to complain about the cashier's unwilling attitude. I work as a toy shop cashier/shop assistant with a 12-hour workday schedule. Our boss and me with my coworkers have a deal that we usually just change on the register each day, and that the one attending the register that day would solely focus on it and would leave tasks around the store for the others. Alongside toys, we also sell stationery and maternity supplies, including prams, baby walkers, and high chairs. It was late afternoon, around the time that we usually schedule a quick afternoon break, and one of my coworkers was on a sick leave that day, so I was all alone at the ground at the time. Usually when a customer asks for directions, I try to navigate them with words rather than leading them to the dedicated alley, as I usually would if I had a backup coworker with me. A younger, soon-to-be parents, couple came in, and they headed straight towards our pram display while a very nice and patient elderly man came up to me asking whether I could demonstrate him one of the RC cars from our shop. So as I was changing the batteries in the car, the man from the aforementioned couple came by asking me whether I could show him how to fold one of the prams. I gave him a quick brief, explained what and where needs to be pulled and pressed, but it was no good, and he asked me if I could just go and show him, with a very annoyed and arrogant manner, condescending even. I politely told him that I'm currently busy and see how I'm the only one at the ground at the moment. I'm not particularly permitted to leave the register, but I would be able to help him in about 5 minutes as my coworker's break was about to end soon. Still no good, as he stepped up a notch and raised his voice, asking what was preventing me from showing him it real quick. I was still in the process of changing the batteries to show the RC car to the elderly man, and he said that he wouldn't mind waiting. My coworker, who was also coincidentally the shop manager, overheard our argument and rushed back to see what was going on. And when I briefed him about what was ensuing, this younger man realized he was the manager and promptly responded, "I would like to complain about this young lady's unwilling attitude to help a customer," to which my manager just nonchalantly replied, "This young lady hasn't breached a single code of conduct of our company. She's currently preoccupied and would have been taming the shop alone until recently. Now, how may I help you?" After that, you could see the one vein on this guy's forehead showing as he raged back to his lover, and they both promptly stormed out of the shop. Story 2. The man on the phone isn't listening. I work as a supervisor in a home decor store. About a year ago, another store opened up 2 blocks down the street from us. Different company, but with a similar name, like In Your House versus Stuff for Your House. One afternoon, I was doing 5 things at once, quite normal, and I answered the phone. "Me? Thank you for calling In Your House in town name. How can I help you?" "Man? Yeah, hi. I was just in there a little while ago and bought a sofa, and I'm here to pick it up." On the surface, this is not odd. We sell sofas. I wasn't aware that we had sold any that day, but occasionally things do happen without my knowledge, so I didn't think much of it. Me? "Okay, sir, let me radio for someone in the back to bring it out to you." "Are you out front?" "Man? No, I'm at the rear of your building. I was told to pick it up here." "Me? One moment, please." Muted the call in confusion. See, while we do sell sofas, and we do allow people to pick up their paid-for merchandise later in the day or week, all pickups are done at the front door. It's a bit tricky to get to our back, and the doors are heavy garage-type doors, so we never tell people to go back there. Hence my confusion, and I got on the radio. "Me? I have a gentleman on the phone who says he's at the back door to pick up the sofa he bought." "My boss? At the back door?" "Me? That's what he says. He said he bought the sofa earlier today, and he was told to pick it up at the back door." "My boss? We haven't sold any sofas today, and we definitely haven't told anyone to go to the back door." "Me? I thought it seemed strange. Let me talk to him." So I unmuted the call. "Me, sir, we haven't sold any sofas today, and we never tell anyone to do a pickup at the back door. Are you quite certain you called the right location? We do have other stores. Maybe you meant to dial one of those." "Man, what kind of bullshit are you trying to pull? I bought a sofa from you, and the guy told me to come around back." "Me? Sir, we have no men working in our store today." "I don't know who told you to go around back, but it wasn't anyone who works here." "Man, the H*LL are you talking about? You're on street name, right?" "Me, yes, sir." "Man, isn't this stuff for your house?" "Me, aha. No, sir, they're down the street. You've called the In Your House store." Somebody in the background on his end, laughing hysterically. "You idiot, you called the wrong store." And of course he then hung up the phone with no apology for how he spoke to me. We laughed about him for the rest of the day. Story 3. That ain't no way to speak to a lady. So I've been a shift supervisor for a retail drugstore chain for over a decade. An unfortunate part of my job is that I get cursed at a lot. I sometimes joke that I'm immune to it. So many years ago, I was working at a store in a not-so-good area. There were constantly homeless panhandlers outside. One group of them, we called them the drunks for obvious reasons. They were becoming such a nuisance that we decided to exercise our right to refuse service and refuse to sell them alcohol. They could buy anything else but alcohol. They didn't take it well, but it kept them away. This particular day, I get a complaint about panhandlers outside sub. I go out to tell them to leave. It's the drunks and they have a new friend. We'll call him John for this story. Before I tell them to leave, I see one of the drunks handing John some money and overhear Bud Light. The drunks leave and John makes his way to the beer section and picks up an 18 PK of Bud Light. Inferring that the drunks have found a way around our refusal, I decide to handle John myself. I tell John I know he's buying alcohol for the drunks, so I'm exercising my right to refuse service. John gets irate. After arguing with me for a few minutes, he spouts some colorful language at me and makes his way out. On his way out, he yells a few swear words at a passing customer. Next thing I hear is a female voice screaming, "Honey, honey, noo." I see a woman, about 50, grabbing her husband's shirt. Husband is also about 50. I'm going to refer to the husband as Dave. Dave has his fists clenched and is marching his way towards John, screaming that ain't no way to speak to a lady. Dave's wife stops him before he gets to the door. The couple get in line and I start ringing up customers with another cashier. When Dave and his wife get to my register, I thank Dave for being a gentleman, but I'm okay. Dave's wife explains that her husband does not tolerate people using foul language to women or mistreating women. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking that Dave is nuts. John is about the same age as Dave, but about a foot taller. John also looks a little more heftier than Dave. Fast forward 2 weeks later, and the overnight shift supervisor is dealing with a homeless man, HM. It's 5 a.m. and HM will not stop cursing. Every other word out of his mouth is a curse word. He's saying it to the supervisor and cashier, both female, and to a few customers. The supervisor is trying to figure out what to do when Dave comes in. Dave confronts the HM in a firm tone that ain't no way to speak to a lady. "Apologize now." HM then starts cursing at Dave. Dave hands HM $20 to please get lost and take his dirty mouth back where he came from. Dave specifically mentioned several nearby counties and cities that have a bad homeless problem. Next thing supervisor notices is HM running off and Dave has a large cut on his arm. Supervisor offers to call 911, but Dave refuses. He claims he was trying to give HM a hug, and something on HM jacket cut him. Supervisor grabs some first aid supplies for Dave. Dave buys what he came in for along with the first aid supplies, even though we said they would be comped. I come in 2 hours later to start the morning shift. Supervisor is telling me the events of the night. We pull up the camera footage and watch the events unfold. I had told the overnight supervisor about Dave, but she had never met him prior to this. I confirmed it was him. Apparently, after Dave tried to give HM $20, HM pulled out what looks like a knife. When Dave tried to take the knife, he got cut. We report the incident to higher-ups, stating that Dave did not want to press charges and did not want medical attention. Just to give a perspective, most of us had heard that cursing is wrong and you don't use it in front of women. However, Dave has been the only one we've ever seen enforce it. We later learned that Dave is the owner and instructor at a mixed martial arts studio and gives free self-defense lessons. So Dave has a few black belts. To Dave and all the men like him, thank you for being gentlemen, but be careful.